Daniel Havers had always wanted to leave Earth. Not because he hated home, but because he loved the idea of discovering something new. He was not a soldier, not a scientist, not even a famous explorer. He was just an ordinary man who happened to sign up for a cultural exchange program that promised life among the stars. The program wasn't glamorous. It didn't offer riches or medals. It offered something more subtle, a chance to live in alien villages, learn their customs, and build trust between species. When Daniel's name was drawn, his family laughed and told him he would probably end up shoveling alien dirt for a living. Daniel didn't mind. Dirt was still dirt, even light years from home. When his transport shuttle touched down on the planet Vera, Daniel's breath caught in his throat. The sky shimmered with two suns, one pale gold and the other faint orange, rolling hills of crystal. Grass sparkled under the light and the air smelled faintly of honey. Ahead of him stretched a village of strange insect-like structures. They looked like giant hives or woven baskets, each glowing softly from within. Waiting for him at the edge of the landing pad was a small crowd of villagers. They were the Thrain, the native people of Vera. They stood taller than Daniel, with yellow forearms, glistening chitin skin and shades of green and bronze, and wide, curious eyes. Despite their insectoid appearance, their posture was welcoming, and their voices, when they greeted him, were soft and musical. "Welcome, human Daniel," said the eldest among them, bowing slightly. "We are honored to have you among our people. You will be part of our growth." Daniel bowed back awkwardly. "Thank you. I'm honored too. I hope I can help." The elder gave a satisfied hum like the sound of a violin string. "You will. We have chosen a role for you. A role most important. You will work in community growth." Daniel smiled politely, though confusion gnawed at him. Community growth, that sounded vague. Maybe farming, maybe construction. He decided not to ask too many questions yet. First impressions mattered, and he didn't want to seem ungrateful. The next day, Daniel was taken on a tour of the village. It was unlike anything he had imagined. The houses were alive, grown from woven plant fibers that pulsed faintly, as if they were breathing. The streets were soft with moss that changed color under his steps, creating glowing footprints. Children with bright, transparent wings zipped past, giggling in high musical tones. Everywhere he looked, the Thrain worked together in harmony, weaving, singing, carrying baskets, polishing crystal stones. His guide, a young Thrain named Rilk, pointed out different places. "Here is the communal hall. Here is the water nest. Here is the song garden." Rilk moved with quick, precise motions, and his antennae twitched whenever he spoke. Daniel couldn't help but stare at the alien's fluid grace. Finally, Rilk brought him to a large dome at the heart of the village. The walls glowed warm amber, and a gentle humming filled the air, like bees in a hive. "This is the community growth hall," Rilk explained. "Here you will serve." Daniel stepped inside and blinked. The hall was lined with rows of oval pods, each about the size of a human armchair. They glowed faintly from within, and strange patterns pulsed across their surfaces. Several Thrain caretakers moved quietly between the pods, placing objects inside, adjusting tubes, or softly singing. Daniel whispered, What is all this?" "Growth," Rilk said simply. "The future of our people." Daniel nodded, pretending to understand. It looked like some kind of nursery. Maybe they grew food here. Maybe the pods were incubators for plants. He wasn't sure, but he didn't want to embarrass himself by asking too soon. The villagers welcomed him warmly into their daily routine. His job started with small tasks, carrying water to the hall, polishing the surfaces of the pods, and mimicking the songs the Thrain caretakers hummed. At first he felt ridiculous, standing there humming nonsense notes at glowing alien eggs. But to his surprise, the pods seemed to react to his voice. Their glow brightened, their patterns shifted, and the Thrain caretakers clicked their mandibles in approval. "Your tone is strong," one of them said. Good for balance. Daniel grinned, though he didn't quite know what that meant. He assumed it was a compliment. Every evening he returned to his small hut, tired but curious. He wrote notes in his journal. Pods respond to sound. Caretakers, very serious about daily humming. Village treats me like I'm doing something important, though I don't know what. The mystery grew each day. What exactly was he helping with? Why did they call it community growth instead of just farming or building? One night, Daniel joined the villagers in the communal hall for a festival. The Thrain gathered in a wide circle, drumming on hollow stones while others danced. The air vibrated with rhythm, and Daniel found himself swept up in the music. The elder approached him and placed a hand, cool and chitinous, on his shoulder. "You are adapting well, Daniel. Already the young will benefit from your presence." Daniel blinked. "The young?" "Yes," the elder said, his voice a low hum. "Already the pods grow stronger with your care. You are making fine contributions." Daniel laughed nervously. "I'm just cleaning and humming, hardly much." But the elder shook his head. "To us, it is everything." The words sent a shiver down Daniel's spine. For the first time, he wondered if maybe he wasn't just doing chores. Maybe there was more to this job than he realized. As days turned into weeks, Daniel began to notice details he had overlooked. The pods weren't just glowing randomly. They pulsed with life, faint shadows moving inside, shapes that seemed almost fetal. Once, while adjusting the surface of a pod, Daniel swore he saw a tiny hand press against the inside, then fade away. He stepped back, heart racing. "What was that?" he asked the nearest caretaker. The Thrain tilted her head. "Growth." Daniel's mind spun. Growth of what? Plants didn't have hands. Animals didn't hum in response to his singing. Slowly, a realization crept into his mind. A realization both exciting and unsettling. He remembered the elder's words. "The young will benefit from your presence." He thought of the title they gave his work, Community Growth, and suddenly it clicked. The pods weren't farms. They weren't plants, they were cradles. Cradles for new Thrain life. Daniel froze, staring at the glowing eggs around him. He wasn't farming. He wasn't building. He was helping them make babies. Daniel stumbled back to his hut that night, his head full of questions. Did the Thrain realize he had no idea what he had signed up for? Why hadn't anyone explained it to him clearly? And why did his human humming seem so vital to their process? He sat on his bed, staring at the alien stars outside his window. The thought made him laugh nervously. "Of all the jobs in the galaxy," he muttered, "I end up babysitting alien eggs." But deep down, he knew this was no ordinary babysitting. He was part of something larger, something vital to an entire species. And whether he liked it or not, his job was only just beginning. Daniel woke early, his thoughts still tangled from the strange realization of the night before. He had signed up for cultural exchange, imagining farming, teaching, or maybe even fixing houses. But now he suspected the truth. The pods in the community growth hall were not machines, not plants, not food. They were living. He washed his face with the cool, sweet water from the stream outside his hut and tried to laugh it off. "Maybe I'm overthinking," he told himself. "Maybe they're just plants that look hand-shaped." But deep down he knew. The little shadow pressing against the pod wall had not been a leaf. It had been a hand. When Rilke came to escort him that morning, Daniel decided to ask, though carefully. "So," Daniel began as they walked toward the hall, "this job of mine, community growth, and it's about the future of the village, right?" Rilke clicked his mandibles, and what Daniel had learned was a sign of approval. "Yes, the future rests on your voice and your hands." Daniel nodded slowly. "So, just to be clear, these pods, they're not plants, are they?" Rilke tilted his head, antennae flicking. "Plants? No, they are children." Daniel nearly tripped over his own feet. Children? "Yes," Rilke said, as if it were obvious. "They are the new generation. The young sleep and grow inside until the time is right." Daniel's mouth went dry. He had been polishing eggs, singing lullabies, babysitting alien children before they were even born. He laughed awkwardly. You know, back on Earth, when someone says they got a job making babies, it usually means something very different. Rilke looked puzzled. Different how? Daniel waved his hands quickly. Never mind, forget I said that. That day inside the hall, Daniel watched the caretakers with new eyes. Everything they did was gentle and careful. They hummed in specific tones, adjusted tubes that carried nutrient liquids, and checked the glowing patterns across each pod. When Daniel joined in the humming, the pods closest to him glowed brighter, as if they were responding to his presence. One pod even pulsed in rhythm with his voice, and he swore he heard a faint echo, almost like a baby cooing. The caretaker beside him, a tall thrain named Solka, leaned closer. You bring them harmony, she said. They listen to you. Daniel scratched his head. I don't really understand how. I'm just humming random tunes. Solka shook her head. Not random, natural. Your kind holds a tone we cannot. It calms the young. Daniel frowned. So you mean humans are special for this job? Yes, Solka said with certainty. You are chosen well. Daniel began to notice how much attention the villagers gave him. Every time he finished his work in the hall, Thrain villagers outside would bow slightly or give approving hums. Children would follow him in the streets, imitating his voice and laughing when he played along. It felt strange. Back home, he had been just another face in the crowd, but here he was treated like someone important. Still, the misunderstanding bothered him. He didn't want to be remembered as the human who made babies, in the wrong sense of the phrase. One evening, after the day's work, he decided to sit with Rilke and ask more questions. They sat near the glowing moss fields where firefly-like insects danced in the twilight. Rilke, Daniel began carefully. Why didn't anyone explain to me what this job really was? On Earth, if someone asked me to help raise children, I'd expect a very detailed explanation. Rilke tilted his head. We thought you understood. The words community growth mean the same to us as new life. We believed it was clear. Daniel sighed. To us it means something more like building schools or planting crops, not raising babies in glowing pods. Rilke's antennae twitched with amusement. Strange humans. You use many words for simple things. Daniel chuckled despite himself. Yeah, I guess we do. The days passed and Daniel grew more comfortable with his role, even if the misunderstanding still lingered. He found himself genuinely enjoying the work. The pod seemed to respond to his presence, and the caretakers trusted him with more tasks. He learned to measure the glowing patterns, to adjust the nutrient flow, and even to record songs for the nights when he slept. One afternoon, while checking a pod, he noticed a tiny pair of eyes blink at him from within. The moment was so pure, so fragile, that his heart melted. Hey there, little one, he whispered softly, placing a hand against the pod wall. The eyes blinked again, and the pod pulsed warmly. Solka, standing nearby, observed quietly. They know you. They feel safe with you. Daniel smiled. That's incredible. Still, word spread quickly in the village. Some villagers began to call him Guardian Singer. Others jokingly called him the Maker. Daniel wasn't sure how to feel about that. At the communal hall one evening, during a meal of sweet crystal fruits and warm bread-like roots, a young villager asked loudly, Is it true the human is the best at making babies? Daniel nearly choked on his food. Excuse me? The hall filled with laughter, high musical clicks and hums that echoed through the dome. Rilke explained quickly, They mean the pods, Daniel. They mean you are good at helping the young grow strong. Daniel groaned and buried his face in his hands while the villagers laughed kindly around him. Great, he muttered. That's going to follow me forever, isn't it? Rilke gave a cheerful click. Yes, it is a good title. One night, as Daniel lay awake in his hut, he thought about the situation from a different angle. Maybe this was exactly what humanity needed. Out there in the galaxy, humans were often seen as young, reckless, or unimportant compared to ancient, alien civilizations. But here he was, an ordinary human, doing something none of them could do. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a scientist. He was just a man with a voice, and somehow that was enough to matter. Enough to help shape the future of an alien species. The thought filled him with pride. The next morning brought a surprise. When Daniel arrived at the hall, the elder stood waiting. His antennae moved slowly, a sign of seriousness. "Daniel," the elder said, "we must speak. One of the pods is weak. It does not respond as it should." Daniel followed him to the far end of the hall. There, a pod glowed faintly, its patterns irregular. Inside, the small shadow moved sluggishly. "What's wrong with it?" Daniel asked, worried. "The balance is failing," the elder said. "We have tried all we know, but perhaps your voice may reach where ours cannot." Daniel swallowed hard. He had never been asked to do something so important. His humming had always been part of the routine, never the solution to a crisis. He sat before the pod, took a deep breath, and began to hum softly. At first, nothing happened. The pod flickered weakly. Doubt filled his mind. What if I can't do this? What if I fail and the child doesn't survive? Then he remembered the little eyes that had blinked at him, the fragile hand that had pressed against the pod wall. These were not just strange alien eggs. They were lives, innocent and waiting. So he closed his eyes, pushed away his fear, and let the melody flow naturally, a song from his childhood. A lullaby his mother used to sing, simple, warm, human. The pod slowly brightened, the pattern steadied. Inside, the shadow moved with more strength. Gasps of relief filled the hall. Solka whispered, "It works." He saved it. The elder placed a hand on Daniel's shoulder. "You see now why you are here. You are not only caretaker, you are life-bringer." Daniel opened his eyes, stunned. He had just saved a life, not human, but life nonetheless. And in that moment, the misunderstanding no longer mattered. He finally understood his purpose. That night, as the village celebrated the recovery of the weak pod, Daniel sat quietly by the fire, watching the Thrain laugh, sing, and dance. He felt both out of place and completely at home. He whispered to himself, maybe this is what humans were meant to do out here, not to conquer, not to compete, but to care. The stars above shimmered, and for the first time since leaving Earth, Daniel felt certain. His journey had only just begun. The village slept in calm silence, but Daniel lay awake in his small hut. His thoughts circled endlessly. Every day he grew closer to the Thrain people. Every day the pods responded more to his voice, and every day he felt the weight of his role, pressing heavier on his shoulders. He turned onto his side and stared at the glowing moss lamp. "I came here for an exchange program," he whispered to himself. "Not to become some kind of alien midwife." Yet when he remembered the weak pod he had saved with his lullaby, his heart swelled with warmth. A life, an actual, innocent life, was alive because of him. How could he not take that seriously? The following morning, Rillick arrived to fetch him as usual, but this time his antennae twitched with unusual excitement. "Daniel," Rillick said, "today is important. You will see something new." Daniel rubbed his eyes. "New? What kind of new?" "You will see the truth of community growth," Rillick replied. Those words made Daniel's stomach tighten. He had suspected for weeks what the pods were, but no one had told him directly. Perhaps now he would finally get his answers. The community growth hall was alive with sound that morning. The usual soft humming was replaced by a deeper rhythmic chanting. Villagers stood in rows singing in harmony. The pods glowed brighter than ever, patterns racing across their surfaces like starlight. Daniel stepped inside, his eyes widening. The air vibrated with energy. The pods pulsed like giant hearts. "What's happening?" he asked Solka. "Today," she said, her voice hushed with reverence, "you will see one of the young arrive." Daniel's jaw dropped. You mean hatch? Yes, Solka said simply. He felt his chest tighten with anticipation. He had polished these pods, sung to them, whispered to them, and now he would see one open. The elder stepped forward and placed his 4 hands against a pod that glowed brightest of all. The surface rippled like liquid crystal. Slowly, cracks of light spread across it, and a hush fell over the hall. Daniel held his breath. The pod opened with a soft sigh, and inside lay a small thrain child curled up, its skin pale and delicate, its wings folded tight against its back. The child gave a tiny chirp, then another. The crowd erupted in gentle musical hums. What Daniel guessed was their version of applause. The elder lifted the newborn carefully and raised it for all to see. A new life, he declared, strong, because of our work. Daniel felt his eyes sting. He had known, but seeing it made everything real. The pods were not machines or strange plants. They were nurseries, and he had been helping to bring life into the world. After the ceremony, Daniel sat outside, his head spinning. He needed fresh air to process what he had just seen. Rillick joined him, carrying a bowl of fruit. You seem unsettled. Daniel shook his head. Not unsettled, just amazed. Where I come from, babies are born very differently. We don't use pods, it's a lot more personal, more natural. Rilk tilted his head. To us, this is natural. The pods are part of our world. They are alive like trees, but shaped to hold new life. They protect the young until they are ready. Daniel nodded slowly. So you don't, carry them yourselves? No, Rillick said. Long ago our people did, but many lives were lost. The pods were a gift from our ancestors. Science, they are safer, stronger. Every child grows within their protection. Daniel leaned back, staring at the twin sons. It was incredible. An entire species had changed how life began, and it had worked for them for generations. Still, a question nagged at him. But why me? Why does my voice matter so much? Why can't the Thrain do it alone? Rillick was silent for a moment. Then he spoke carefully. Our voices shape the growth. The pods need harmony. But humans, your voices reach a different place. A place we cannot. It is why you were chosen. Daniel frowned. But how did you even know humans could do this? I mean, Earth only joined the exchange program a few years ago. Rillick's antennae twitched. That knowledge came long before you. Daniel sat up straight. What do you mean? Rillick hesitated, then gestured for him to follow. Come, you should see. Rillick led Daniel beyond the village, through crystal fields and glowing forests until they reached a cavern mouth hidden by hanging vines. The air inside was cooler, filled with faint echoes. Torches lit the walls, revealing ancient carvings. Strange, spiraled shapes that told stories in images. Daniel ran his fingers across one of the carvings. It showed a Thrain elder standing, with a tall figure beside them. The figure was not insectoid. It was smooth-skinned, two-armed, and round-headed. Human. Daniel's heart skipped. That looks like one of us. Rillick bowed his head. Long ago, before our records, our people met travelers who looked like you. They showed us how your kind's voices held power. We remembered, though we did not see your people. Again, for many cycles. When humans returned to the stars, we knew what it meant. We knew we must invite you. Daniel stared in awe at the wall carvings. So, humans have been here before? In ancient times? Rilk nodded. Perhaps not Earth humans, perhaps others like you. But you share the same gift. You are the echo of what was promised. Daniel's knees felt weak. He sat down on a stone bench, trying to absorb the revelation. Humanity wasn't just a newcomer, fumbling in the galaxy. They had a history here, an impact deeper than they realized. That evening, back in the village, Daniel looked at the pods with new eyes. He understood now why they responded to him. He wasn't just a random exchange, volunteer. He was part of something ancient, something that tied humans and Thrain together across time. He placed his hand against one pod and whispered softly, "You're not just their future. You're ours too." The pod pulsed warmly in response. Later, as the village celebrated the newborn child, Daniel sat with the elder by the fire. The night sky sparkled above, filled with stars. "Elder," Daniel asked, "do the other villages know about this? That humans can help?" The elder's eyes glimmered. "Some do, but many do not believe. They see humans as young and untested. They do not remember the carvings." Daniel clenched his fists. "Then we'll prove it. We'll show them." The elder gave a deep hum of approval. "You speak with courage. Perhaps that too is why your kind was chosen." Daniel looked at the flames and felt a sense of purpose stronger than ever before. He had not just stumbled into a job, he had stumbled into destiny. The truth about making babies was not a joke. It was not even just about helping a village. It was about bridging two species, carrying an ancient promise and proving that humanity's place among the stars was not as outsiders, but as guardians of life itself. And deep in his heart, Daniel knew this was only the beginning. The village was quiet that night, but Daniel could not sleep. He sat outside his hut staring at the twin moons drifting across the alien sky. His mind was still filled with the carvings he had seen in the cavern. Humans had been here before, or at least someone very much like them. Their voices had shaped the Thrain's way of life for generations. Humanity was not just a visitor in this place. It was part of a story that began long before Daniel was born. He whispered to himself, "What does this mean for us, for Earth?" The next morning, Daniel found the elder waiting for him at the community growth hall. The elder's expression was serious, his antennae slowly moving as if tasting the air for danger. "Daniel," the elder said, "your time with us may soon bring greater weight. Other villages have heard of you. Some are curious, others are doubtful. They will ask questions." Daniel swallowed. "What kind of questions?" "Whether humans truly carry the gift," the elder replied. "Whether it is safe to trust you. They may send word beyond Vera to other species." Daniel blinked. "Other species? You mean this won't stay on this planet?" The elder's eyes glowed faintly. "The galaxy listens when new things stir. If humanity carries the gift of life, it changes how others see you." Daniel felt his chest tighten. He had thought his job was just about singing to pods, but now it was clear. The truth could ripple far beyond one village. That evening, Daniel joined Rilke and Solka by the communal fire. The villagers were cheerful, celebrating another healthy pod. Children played in the glowing moss, leaving bright trails with their steps. Yet Daniel's thoughts weighed heavy. He turned to his friends. "Do you think the galaxy will care about this? About what humans can do here?" Rilke tilted his head. "Care? Yes, but not always kindly. Some will welcome it. Others will fear it." "Fear it? Why?" Daniel asked. "Because power frightens," Solka said simply. "If humans can give life where others cannot, then some will see you as dangerous. Others will try to use you. Some will even try to silence you." Daniel frowned. He hadn't thought of it that way. Back on Earth, humans had always seen themselves as small compared to the ancient alien civilizations around them. But now, this gift could make them something more, something valuable. "Then what do we do?" he asked. Rilke placed one hand on Daniel's shoulder. "That is for your people to decide. Not only you." A few days later, a transport ship arrived in the village. Its sleek silver hull gleamed under the twin suns, and Daniel's heart jumped when he saw the insignia on the side, the mark of Earth's Cultural Exchange Office. From the ship stepped two humans in blue uniforms, Ambassador Chen and Officer Morales. Daniel rushed to greet them, relief flooding through him. "Daniel," Ambassador Chen said warmly, shaking his hand. "You've been busy. We've heard unusual reports about your role here." Daniel scratched his head. "Unusual is one word for it. I think you'd better see for yourself." Inside the growth hall, Chen and Morales stared in astonishment at the glowing pods. "They're alive," Morales whispered. "Actual children." The elder explained patiently, describing the role of human voices, the ancient carvings, and Daniel's success in saving a weak pod. When the elder finished, Chen turned to Daniel, her face unreadable. "Is this true? You've been helping them grow their children?" Daniel nodded slowly. "Yes. I didn't know at first, but it's real. They respond to us, to me, and not just a little. It matters. Without us, some might not survive." Silence filled the hall. Finally, Chen spoke again, her voice low. "Do you understand what this means?" Daniel sighed. "I think so. It means humans are not just visitors here. We're part of something bigger. But it also means others might not like it." Chen nodded. "Exactly. If this becomes known, other species will want answers. Some might try to control it. Some might try to stop it." That evening, Chen held a private meeting with Daniel inside his hut. The soft hum of night insects filled the silence as she leaned forward, her face serious. "Daniel," she said, "I need your honest opinion. Do you believe this is real? Not just coincidence, not just alien superstition?" Daniel met her eyes. "I've seen it with my own eyes. I've felt it. When I sing, the pods change. I saved one with a lullaby from Earth. That wasn't luck. It was connection." Chen sat back, thoughtful. "Then humanity faces a choice. We can keep this quiet, protect the secret until we understand it better. Or we can share it, let the galaxy know who we are and what we can do." Daniel's stomach churned. He knew both paths carried risk. If they hid it, the Thrain might feel betrayed. If they shared it, humanity could become a target. "What do you think?" he asked softly. Chen shook her head. "It's not up to me alone. It will be up to Earth's leaders, but your voice will matter. You've lived it. You've earned their trust." Daniel swallowed. For the first time, he realized his words could shape the path of his entire species. The next day, the village gathered to hear the decision of the humans. Chen explained carefully, avoiding words that might alarm them. "We thank the Thrain for their trust," she said. "We will bring this truth to Earth. Humanity must decide how to share it with the galaxy. We will not betray you. But we must be careful." The villagers hummed in approval, though some looked worried. The elder turned to Daniel. "You carry weight, human. You must guide your people as you guide our young." Daniel bowed his head. "I'll try. I promise." That night, Daniel walked alone through the glowing moss fields. The stars stretched endlessly above him, silent witnesses to his thoughts. He imagined the future. Humans standing before alien councils, explaining how their voices could save children. Some would laugh, others would fear, but none could ignore it. He imagined Earth's leaders debating. Some would want to use the gift for influence. Others would want to hide it. And somewhere in between, ordinary humans would ask what it meant to be special in such a vast galaxy. He whispered to the night, "I don't want this to become about power. It should be about life, about hope." The moss under his feet glowed brighter, as if answering him. The next morning, Chen prepared to leave. Before she boarded the ship, she placed a hand on Daniel's shoulder. "You've done more here than you realize," she said. "But be ready. When this reaches Earth, you'll be called to speak. You may have to defend not just yourself, but humanity's place among the stars." Daniel nodded, though his throat felt tight. "I understand." As the ship lifted into the sky, Daniel watched it disappear into the horizon. He felt both small and immense at the same time. Small because he was just one man in a universe of billions. Immense because his actions had started something no one could stop. Back in the hall, Daniel resumed his work. He hummed softly, and the pods glowed in reply. The children inside stirred, safe and strong, and as he sang, he thought of Earth, of leaders debating in great halls, of alien councils whispering in secret. All of them would soon be listening. Humanity's decision was coming, and Daniel knew he had already chosen his side. the side of life. Weeks passed after Ambassador Chen's departure. The village returned to its calm rhythm, but Daniel felt the quiet carried new weight. Somewhere out there, far beyond the twin suns of Vera, Earth's leaders were talking. The galaxy might already be whispering about the strange human who could sing life into alien pods. Daniel kept working in the community growth hall. His voice had grown stronger, steadier, and he no longer felt self-conscious about singing in front of the throne. When he hummed, the pods pulsed brightly. When he spoke softly, the children inside seemed to stir. The throne called him guardian singer with respect, not humor, but he could not shake the feeling that something larger was coming. One evening, as Daniel sat by the communal fire, Rillick approached with a troubled look. "News comes from the sky," Rillick said. "Other species have heard. Some are unsettled." Daniel's stomach tightened. "Unsettled how?" "Some believe humans will use this gift for control," Rillick explained. "They fear you will demand tribute in exchange for saving the young. Others believe the gift is dangerous, that no one species should hold such power." Daniel sighed. He had expected as much, but hearing it still stung. "And what do you believe?" he asked. Rillick's antennae twitched. "I believe what I see. You care for our young without asking for reward. That is truth. But the galaxy does not see truth easily." A few days later, a second ship arrived, but this one did not bear Earth's insignia. It was larger, darker, its hull etched with sharp lines. From it emerged delegates of the Veyran Coalition, an alliance of several old species known for their cautious nature. The village gathered nervously as the delegates entered. Their leader, a tall figure with silver skin and glowing eyes, spoke with a voice like ringing metal. "We have heard troubling reports," the delegate said, "that humans can alter the life of others, that your voices reach where no others can. If this is true, then humanity carries something dangerous, something that must not spread without control." Daniel stepped forward before the elder could answer. "It isn't dangerous," he said firmly. "It's life. It's helping children survive. How can that be wrong?" The delegate's glowing eyes turned on him. "Because life is the greatest power of all, and power breeds war. Do you expect us to believe humans will resist using this gift for advantage?" Daniel's jaw tightened. "I don't speak for all humans, but I know what I believe. I didn't come here to gain power. I came here to help." The delegate's expression did not change. "Perhaps. But the galaxy cannot take chances. If humans refuse to surrender this gift, measures will be taken." The words chilled Daniel. Surrender? Measures? It sounded too much like a threat. That night, the village buzzed with fear. Some whispered that the coalition might ban humans from travel, or worse, attack to eliminate the threat. Others feared that Earth might bend to pressure and abandon the throne. Daniel sat with Solka, staring at the glowing pods. "Why is it," he muttered, "that whenever humans do something good, someone has to turn it into fear?" Solka placed a gentle hand on a pod. "Because good things are powerful, and power always frightens those who wish to control it." Daniel clenched his fists. "Then we can't let them control it. We have to show the galaxy this isn't about fear. It's about hope." The next day, another ship descended, the return of Ambassador Chen. She rushed to meet Daniel, her face lined with tension. "Daniel," she said quickly, "things are moving faster than we hoped. The coalition is pressing Earth to restrict human contact with the throne. Some leaders on Earth are considering it." Daniel's heart sank. "You mean cutting us off?" Chen nodded grimly. "Yes, they fear conflict. They want to play it safe. But the decision isn't final." Daniel looked around at the villagers, at the pods glowing softly, at the children whose lives now depended on his voice. "Safe for who?" he demanded. "Not for the throne. If we walk away, some of these children might not make it." Chen lowered her voice. "I agree with you, but politics isn't simple. Leaders weigh risk, not just morality." Daniel shook his head. "Then maybe it's time we show them what this really means." That evening, Daniel asked the elder for permission to speak to the whole village. The elder agreed, and soon the Thrain gathered in the communal hall, their eyes glowing softly in the firelight. Chen and the coalition delegates were present, as well, standing to the side. Daniel stepped forward, his voice shaking at first but growing steadier as he spoke. When I first came here, I didn't understand what my job was. I thought I was just polishing pods and humming silly songs. But then I saw a child born. I saw life that I had helped protect. And I realized this job wasn't silly at all. It was the most important thing I'd ever done. He paused, looking around the hall. The villagers watched silently, listening. The coalition delegates stood stiff and cold. I know some of you fear what this means, Daniel continued. You think humans will use this gift for power. But power wasn't what brought me here. I didn't come as a soldier or a conqueror. I came as an ordinary man. And what I found was something worth more than power, the chance to protect life. That's all this is about. Life, not control, not fear. Life. His voice rose with emotion. If humanity walks away now, we betray not just the Thrain but ourselves. We prove the galaxy right, that we are too afraid, too selfish, too small. But if we stand with the Thrain, if we share this gift openly, we show what humans truly are. Not destroyers, not threats. Guardians. The hall filled with a low hum of approval from the villagers. The elder bowed his head deeply. Solka and Rilk hummed in harmony beside him. Even Chen looked moved, though her face was still cautious. The coalition delegates, however, whispered among themselves, their expressions unreadable. That night, Daniel could not sleep. He walked to the edge of the forest and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, decisions were being made. Maybe the galaxy would still fear humans. Maybe Earth would still bow to pressure. But he knew one thing. He had spoken the truth, and sometimes truth was the spark that could not be put out. Days later, news came from Earth. Humanity had chosen. They would not surrender the gift. They would not hide it. Instead, they would share it, openly, carefully, but without shame. The message spread across the stars. Humans will stand with the Thrain. The coalition protested, but their threats lost force in the face of such resolve. Other species, curious and hopeful, began to send their own delegates to learn. Some brought pods of their own, asking if humans could help, and Daniel watched as humanity's place among the stars began to change. On the day of the next festival, the villagers sang together under the twin suns. The pods glowed brightly, pulsing in harmony with the human voices among them. Children ran laughing through the moss, their wings catching the light. Daniel stood in the center, his voice blending with the Thrain's, his heart swelling with pride. He had come to Vera as an ordinary man looking for adventure. He had ended up as something more, a bridge between species, a protector of life, a reminder that sometimes the smallest gifts could change the galaxy. And as the music rose, carrying through the fields and into the night sky, Daniel knew one: truth would endure. Humans were not special because they conquered. They were special because when faced with fear, they chose to care. That choice was the spark of defiance, and it had only just begun.